Hello, this is day 2 of working on gradient value portrait. So what I'm going to do is zoom in here so you guys can see some more details. Now my picture does look pixelated, I am aware of that. But the main thing is kind of the details I wanted you to see. There is, as I was looking at everybody's drawings, I was thinking of some other ways that I could help you to understand how to show value in your portraits. So what I'm doing here is I'm just gonna get out my value scales. I have a few different ones that I'm using as reference tools. So the first thing that I want you to look at here is this value scale. So I'm going to take away dark and light because I want you to be able to focus on some different details, okay? We're going to number this from 0 to 10, okay? So here's 0, here's 10, and right in the middle is a 5, okay? It's not quite in the middle, but you get the idea. So between 0, 5, and 10, we also have our 3 and our 6, okay? So basically what we're doing is we're gonna go and look in our photos and identify where all of these numbers fall on our value scales. So basically what we need to do is look at our image. And our image here, I want you to compare that to your value scale. Don't rip your picture like I just did. Be more careful, okay? And what I want to do is identify where my zeros are. Now that's going to be easy because that's the white paper that's showing through. So let's take a look and do that first before we do anything. Where is the whitest part of my paper? Here's a 0. Here's a 0. As I am moving closer to the 1s and the 2s in this area, those have a little tiny bit of gray in there. Okay, let's identify those. Definitely parts of my shirt here, some parts of the blocks behind the girls, the teeth, some her shoulder here. See, those are my level 2s. And I've got some highlights in here. This is my level 1 and my 2. Kind of move into the shirt over here. We've got some level 2s in here. Okay, it's not bright white, but it has a little bit of gray in there, so that's a level 2. These are some things that are going to help you to identify, instead of paying attention to kind of where the details are specifically, like a button or the eyes or the teeth. I want you to look at the values instead. So what I'm going to be doing is demonstrating this for you guys with my pencil. I have some 3s in here, 2s right in here. See those areas? Okay. All right. So now let's look at our 4s and our 5s. Okay. So our 4s and our 5s are probably this side of the face, these areas right here. Those are my 4s and my 5s. My 4s and my 5s. Okay. This side where the shadows begin. Okay. And as I'm working towards this is funny. That is not a 6 in the middle there. So my 6s and 7s, I'm looking at, some of the darker values in here. And then I'm moving right here. This is more of an 8 or a 9 right in here. Back here, right here, that's my 10. Inside the mouth, 10. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in on the eye because that was what we focused on last time. So in the eye, I have some 10s in here, and I also have some 9s. Okay, so there are some differences in the values in here. We have some 9s in here, and then we move into on these little creases here. There's some 8s in here. I'd say those nostrils are 9s. And then inside this mouth, I can see some 10s, and then I have a 9 in here. It's one shade lighter than a 10, okay? So these kinds of details are what you're gonna hear me talk about as I am working on my portrait. All right, so I want you guys to be able to do that with your own portraits today when you are working. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out a little bit so you can see my picture and be able to focus on the same kinds of details that I am, okay? So in the eye, right now I have some, right in here I have some 8s, but really what I just pointed out to you is that I really only have 10s and 9s. The eye is a lot darker than what I have shown so far. Now, most of you in your portraits are going to find that you have a lot of reflections in there. Mine do not for this, just because that's the way this portrait ended up being. And I'm being real careful as I shade. I'm going to be using my blending stump. You can use Q-tips at home. And what I'm doing is just kind of working on those little areas where I know I'm working with a 10. And working in the pupil. You know that there's pupils in there, but can you see them? No, what I see is little flecks of color. Now that's just my portrait that I'm drawing, okay? The portrait you're drawing is probably gonna be different. All right, so I'm gonna move over to this next eye and just start working on bringing in those values and just focusing in on those details so you guys can kind of see what I'm working on. I'm just gonna try to move my paper around so you guys can see the whole thing. Okay. So her little eye curves over a little bit as she's smiling. This is how you show somebody is smiling. You are identifying those little curves in their eyes. Those curves in the eyes are really important to making it look realistic. So you have to pay close attention and spend a whole lot of time kind of identifying these things. And then if you make a mistake, you try to start off lightly so you are able to kind of go in and focus in on the details that you should keep. Now, whenever I'm erasing, I try to go real lightly, okay? The more you are pressing down with your eraser, you're pulling fibers away from the paper. Did you know that? So when you are doing that, you got to be real careful. Try to just go real lightly with your pencil so that you don't need to press down hard with your eraser. Okay? My apologies for those sniffles. Okay, so I made the eye a little too long. I'm just going to shorten it a bit here and fix my little boo-boos. Every time you use that eraser, you're pulling away fibers from the paper, so try to be mindful of that. Okay, I'm going to round this little pupil. I'm not working with the pupil, the iris. I am able to see the outline of the eye, so I'm just going to kind of go in and start showing that. And this area gets a lot skinnier than what I've actually shown, so I'm going to go back and fix that. So what I want you guys to be able to do is really work small and go slow. If you're really rushing through this, it's going to show. It is going to show. It helps to have a real good brand new eraser so you can get in there with the fine details. Now, I know I have a pupil in this eye, but I really don't see it. I don't see it, and that is important for you guys to know, that when you're working with portraits, you want to draw that pupil because you know it's there, and you know that's what make eyes look like eyes. But that's not what I'm seeing here because of the way the portrait was taken. I can only see a little bit at a time. And I really see just small details in those little eyes. Now I'm going to curve this up a little bit because that's what I see. I have a really cool tool. It's a fine point eraser. So this looks like a pencil. It's actually an eraser. That is a great tool for you to have. Something that if you are really into drawing and understanding how to be a better artist with drawing, there's some tools that are out there that can help you. And that is one of them. All right, so right now I've been working on the eyes. You've been working on the eyes at home, and we're trying to, really focus on making them look realistic. I'm taking my time here, and I want you guys to be checking your work and make sure that you really try to take my advice. Okay. All right, so even though those eyes look really dark right now, they're matching what I see here. And that is showing my level 9s and my level 10s. And then I kind of, did stand up my pencil, and I'm trying to go back in with some of my details. And those details are not always going to make sense to you. You're showing the shadows that you see, and that's the best advice I can give you, is to try to focus on those shadows that you see, because that is realistic, as opposed to focusing on, oh, this is an eye. And that's where some beginning students get hung up. So I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to tap, tap, tap my pencil in some areas where it got a little dark. And I'm just going to kind of bring this eyebrow down a little bit because I think it got a little too far. And try to kind of fix some of those details and thin it out a little bit. Right now she's got really large eyebrows. Okay. And that's a good start for today.